Let's go.
Hi, my name is Kenya Mitchell, and I am a student in the Education 201 course. And if there's anything I learned about becoming a teacher, I learned that you have to be organized. Organization is the key to success. Without organization, you can find yourself falling off of course. You can find yourself very depressed, very sad, and disoriented. So I learned that organization is the key to success. If your students see that you're organized, everything will run smoothly. But if they see that you're disorganized, there's a possibility that they might think that you don't know how to manage your classroom or you don't know how to, conduct things appropriately. Another thing I learned about becoming a teacher is that it's a career, but in addition to that, it's also a life changing career, if you know what I mean. Being a teacher requires you to take interest in your students, but it also requires you to to sacrifice yourself, certain attitudes, beliefs, and values that they have, so you can meet your children or meet your students where they're at. Excuse me. So if there's anything I learned about becoming a teacher, it's taking interest in your student, but it's also being a good role model because believe it or not, let's face it, children do look to their teachers for setting better examples, whatever have you, or they do look to their teacher whenever the parents are not around. You're like the second parent in the classroom. So how you conduct yourself, what you do, what you say, how you interact with your children plays a part in how they view you as a role model. And that's what I believe, becoming a teacher is all about. Setting good examples for your children, also learning every single day. I learned that as a teacher, you never stop learning. You continue your learning process even after college. So I'm going to find myself reading hundreds and thousands of books on how to just become a master at whatever subject I'm teaching, how to become a master at interacting with students, how to become a master to meet children in whatever learning stage they may find themselves in. So that's what I learned about becoming a teacher. The second thing I want to touch on is the biggest challenge that I might find myself facing as a teacher. I believe my biggest challenge as a teacher would be being able to effectively meet every student's learning need. Why do I say that? Because it takes time in actuality. I identify as a visual learner, but I also want to be able to reach out to my audible learners, to my kinesthetic learners. So I am going to find myself trying to get to know these learners on a personal level and trying to see what, what objectives, what techniques, what methods I can teach them so that they can understand the learning concept, so that they can understand the material. So that's what I think will be one of my biggest challenges. Another challenge I expect to face as a teacher is being able to juggle law school. Some of you guys may not know, some may know. I do not plan on teaching as a long-term career. I want my long-term career to be a lawyer and eventually a judge. So I am going to try to balance law school and teaching. That's very difficult. But with God, I believe all things are possible. And I believe that in order for me to be a good lawyer, I have to establish myself as a good educator, because an educator has to master concepts, master what they learn in order to teach it to somebody else. Similar to a lawyer has to be able to understand the law, master the law, so that they'll be able to teach it and interpret it to their clients. So I believe that's going to be a biggest challenge for me. Lastly, I want to talk about technology. So, technology has been a trend for many decades, and it's a big trend now with social media, with tablets, phones, everything being readily available at our fingertips. I plan on incorporating technology in my classroom by allowing students to use their tablets, to use their phones to conduct research. I believe that, we have a lot of research and a lot of resources at our fingertips, and I want students to be able to utilize the internet to learn how to research, to learn what websites are credible, to learn what websites are not credible, and the websites that they should look out for when it comes to researching. So I want to use technology for students to conduct research. In addition to research, I also want to use technology before big assessment days. For me, assessments were very nerve-wracking. But I believe that technology is so easy to use, it's so convenient, it will kind of alleviate some of that the assessment nerves or the test nerves that children experience or adults experience before major test days. So I want to incorporate that in every lesson plan. For example, I found this website called Quiz Is. I used it for my technological tool chart. It's a really good website. You could create your own quizzes. You can do whatever you want. The students could create their own quiz. You can access other quizzes that people have already created. So I want to incorporate Quiz Is in, my classroom. I also want to use technology for students to do presentations. I wasn't really a fan of presentation. As you can see, I'm like not the best speaker, but I want my students to be able to use technology to make presentations. Not to necessarily learn how to speak, but to be able to present PowerPoints, present timelines, to present, major projects. I will be using technology for that. Another way I'll be using technology is during free time, study time, Free time is not going to be free to go on social media or free to, play non-educational games. But free time is going to be a time where students are going to engage in what they learn via independent study. In other words, free time will be a time for students to play on the computer with educational games where they get to interact, they get to create their own quizzes, they get to just be able to create and explore in their learning. It just all boils down to the students that I have, where they are in their learning, and what content and what I do in the classroom. It just all depends on how they are as a learner. So I'm definitely going to read my students. I'm definitely going to get to know them so that I can incorporate all these technological tools. But I am definitely looking at Quizzes and Satori. I decided to do my technological tool chart revolving those two, I believe they're websites, and I fell in love with it. So I didn't forget the name. I signed up for it. So I'll be definitely incorporating that in my excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think about what to say. I'll be definitely incorporating that in my classroom as far as the technological aspect is involved. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope everyone had a blessed semester. I pray God will just continue to bless everyone on their journey. I pray that, if teaching is for you, the fire just continues to burn. And even if you figured out that teaching is not for you, that you will find whatever call God has on your life. I believe teaching is for me at the moment right now because it's preparing me for what I want to do as a long-term career. And that's what I learned during Education 201. I'm looking forward to see what you've learned, okay? Thank you guys. Have a blessed one.